So, what was your first car?
My first car, we had an old Plymouth, I think it was, that we used to drive out in the woods to the lake and hunt and fish. And we slept in the car, and it was a all around buggy. And we we took the fenders off of it, and we call it a hugster because we took the fenders off and made it into a dune buggy. And we drove it out into the down to the lake, down to the river, Pond River, and we slept in it, and it did not know fenders, no brakes, and had some lights. I don't know if they were legal or not, but we drove it down there, which was about 5 miles, I guess, and my dad was friends with the state police, the city police, and he told me, don't take this car out on the main road, because I could drive when I was 10 years old. And we had one wheel brake. And one day I took it to town, which was about 3 city blocks long. And but we lived about a mile or so out in the country, off the gravel road onto a dirt road. And one day I was downtown, and it was time for me to go home before Daddy got home. And I turned off the paved road onto the gravel road. And just as I got to the top of the hill, I happened to notice the state police behind me. He knew my dad, and I don't remember if he knew me or not. But I sped up, and so did he. And then the lights come on, and it was at the entrance into our road, the dirt road, down to our house. But I didn't chance it to go on down there. I just stopped. And he come up and looked at me, and I didn't say nothing about the car because it had one wheel brake. I don't know if it had headlights or not. Like I said, we just used it to drive it out in the woods. And while he was talking to me and asked about my license, I didn't have a license. And he wasn't chewing on me. He was just telling me about the laws. And my dad drove up, and he knew my dad. He didn't give me a ticket. He told me, "I'm not going to give you a ticket, but if I catch you again, I will." And so then my dad took over. He didn't whip me. He just gave me a good talking. And when I turned to the age of where I could get my license, the same state policeman gave me my driving test. And that 49 Ford had what they call a quick clutch. When you let out, the car would go, take off like that, just jerk. So policeman got in, and he said, "Let's go for a drive." So I let the clutch out and give him a good shaking. We didn't get hardly a car length, and he said, "That'd be good enough." Philip Stone.
That was the sheriff.
Well, he was the sheriff, but he was a state policeman.
Oh, okay.
And then, excuse me, he was not the sheriff, he was a state policeman. Then he was elected county judge, and he stayed county judge until he died. And he was a gentleman, an understanding man, he passed you on the street, and he did me even when I was just a young kid. I passed him on the street. How you doing, boy? You know, and throw that hand out to you, a jewel of a man. And if he had a problem, which I don't ever remember getting a ticket because I left when I was 12, and I was probably 10 whenever 10, somewhere around there, when he pulled me over. And then I left here when I was 12. And by the time I come back, I had my license. And then it was backward and forward from Michigan to here. And
So what was your first car in Michigan?
the first car in Michigan, I think it was a 1952 Plymouth. Plymouth. It was a beautiful little car. And, I remember hitting a road sign just to see what it would do. Thought it would knock it down the road. Well, it knocked a hole in the front fender of my car. And driving it in that Michigan weather that's salt, snow and salt. The salt eating the fenders off. And anyway, I drove it for a couple of years or three, and then I had me a job and bought me the better car.